All right, I am here with arguably one of the most prolific and high-profile writers in modern comics. Yes, that's right, I'm with Mark Millar. I mean, the guy has done everything from Superman Red Son to Civil War to Wanted to Ultimates. I mean, there's too much. There's too much, so I'm just going to turn it over to you to tell us a little bit about your latest project, War Heroes.
War Heroes is, I was trying to think, what's the one thing that would get me to go into the Gulf and do something masculine, like to actually go and fight in another country, and I realised it's superpowers. Even as a peace protester, and I protested against the Iraq War, I totally disagree with it and everything, you know. I thought even I, if I was offered superpowers, would kill anyone John McCain told me to kill in 6 months' time, you know. So really that's what I just thought, I'd like to do a superhero war book, but come up with a good rationale for people going ahead and doing it, you know.
Right, well hey, flight and super speed will do that.
Oh my god, I know, it's funny, it's the thing, it just seemed like, I wrote it as the kind of comic I would want to read, and just that kind of fanboy nerdgasm kind of thing. I've seen soldiers throwing tanks around and jumping around with superpowers. That's what I want to see. I want to play that video game, I want to watch that film, you know.
One of the cool things about War Heroes is obviously it's an image book, so it's creator owned, and there's been so much talk lately from the Robert Kirkman sort of manifesto to just you know, the state of the industry today about the importance of creator-owned work. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Robert about 80%. You know, I think it's a mistake to everybody just en masse go and work for Image, you know. But equally, I think it's a mistake for everyone to just recapitulate stories they read as kids, you know. So for every person that's bringing something new to Spider-Man or Fantastic Four or X-Men or something, there's people really just regurgitating old stories too, and I think that's why the industry has been shrinking. So I can understand his point. I think that's a really good one. The idea that Stan Lee created this stuff in the 60s when he could have just told stories about his childhood and done Superman and Batman and so on. But he had the nerve to go and start up a whole line, and maybe we should now too. Maybe it's time to add some stuff into the pot, you know?
Right. Well, obviously, you know, Wanted, a comic that you did that has been made into a wildly successful movie starring Angelina Jolie, and now your newest comic, Kick-Ass, which is also creator-owned, is being optioned as well. But I think it's really intriguing that as of this taping, you know, Matthew Vaughn is really getting the financing together to go at indie because the subject matter is so adult.
No, well, when you see indie, it's $70 million. He's raised $70 million. I remember the Hollywood Reporter said 30, but it's 70. And it's a lot of dough, you know, and it's great. I mean, the biggest compliment a director can pay is, you know, just to do it right, you know, to do it the way you saw it. And Matthew, he and I met a year ago. We became obsessed with this property. I wrote the story last year. Matthew got going on the screenplay around Christmas and brought in the brilliant writer Jane Goldman. Don't know if you're familiar with her. She wrote Stardust.
Exactly,
She's married to a friend of mine and all that, and we've had a really good thing going with us. It's great. So it's going to be a superhero movie unlike anything people have seen. And when the studios saw it at first, the script, it was before Wanted came out, they said, whoa, R-rated superheroes, I don't know about this, you know. I mean, there's a 9-year-old superhero cutting guys' heads off and all that. And the studios were saying, we like this, but can you maybe make the kid 18 and all that? Matthew, luckily, is like a billionaire or something, you know. And he's like, you know what, I'll pay for this myself. And he's got a bunch of rich pals who all coughed up 10 million each or something, you know, and he had 2 dinner parties, raised 70 million, and just he's going to make the film the way people want to see it. And now the studios, after Wanted, made $300 million. Now the studios are kind of like, R-rated superheroes, that might work out. So we're just going to make the movie and sell it to someone once it's finished. We don't want a dime from those guys. You know?
Wow. Obviously, you wrote one of the greatest Superman Elseworld stories of all time, Superman Red Son. Exactly.
Yes.
But it's great. It's like, what if Superman crashed in communist Russia? So my question is, there's been some talk that you sort of have an idea for a Superman movie that you'd love to do. Can you give us anything?
Yeah, well, it's funny. A director approached me about 3 months ago now, and I'd sort of given up on it, you know. I just thought, I'm going off doing my own things now. I'm taking the Frank Miller approach, you know, just doing my own books, dipping in occasionally into Marvel, doing some stuff. And that's great, I'm happy with that. And I love Superman, right? I don't know if you know, but you know the white cat, Streaky? Streaky, what am I saying? I can't remember his name.
I'm blanking too.
I know, God, I've seen this film 300 times. The cat in the tree in Superman the movie. That was trapped and Superman flies down and rescues it. I bought the dead cat. I bought it on eBay, and I've got it stuffed and it sits on the piano in my dining room, you know. That's how into Superman I am. I've got Christopher Reeve's cape hanging up in my hall. I bought Reeve's cape hanging up in my hall. So this has been a real lifetime dream for me. Today, it's 6:30 just now. At 3 o'clock today, Tony Harris and I were having a coffee with Richard Donner.
Oh my God.
Just a fan meeting. There was no business involved. It was just one of our friends said, "Do you want to hook up with Donner today?" And I'm like, this was like meeting Gandhi for me, you know. Only
so cool.
I feel Donner is more significant to the world
Right.
than Gandhi was. So like getting to hook up with Donner was great. You know, so Superman is a huge deal to me. So my friend knows this. He's a really big director, and he says, "Look, I'm sort of talking, you know, the Man of Steel looks like it might not be happening. You know, you have to be courteous to the guys who've been there before. If that doesn't happen, you know, it's been spoken about the possibility of me coming in. Would you like to write it?" And I was like, yeah, because I've had this plan for like 10 years. I've a big 3-picture Superman thing, like a big Lord of the Rings epic, starting over from scratch again, and just a 7-hour Superman story, you know, and hopefully one out 1 year after the other. So there's absolutely nothing firm yet, but hopefully over the next couple of weeks we'll get some kind of word. If it works out, it would have to start shooting next summer. But it's a long shot, but this guy's a big deal, and he says to me that he's not doing it unless I do it. And Warner's couldn't give a monkeys about me, you know, I mean, I'm just some Scottish guy, nobody can even understand, you know, so like, but this guy's a big deal, and hopefully, you know, that will encourage them to look at what we're doing, you know.
Last but not least, you know, obviously War Heroes is out, but what's next for you after War Heroes, after Kick-Ass?
Well, the projects I'm doing just now, I'm just wrapping up. You know, I wrote 1985, Marvel 1985, that's running just now. Finished that last year. Finishing Old Man Logan just now. I've got a few pages left to do that. Fantastic Four with Brian Hitch. I've got 3 more issues of that to write, and then just finishing up Kick-Ass and War Heroes. Then I'm gonna take a little bit of time. You won't sort of see anything for about 2 months, and then there'll be another onslaught of stuff next summer. You know, I'm going back to the Ultimate line.
Right. Oh, that's so cool.
I cannot wait. I said the sheriff's back in town. You guys have had it easy for 2 years now, you know, so I want to come back and, you know, make the Ultimate line pretty cool.
Well, I actually heard, and I have to ask you this, that War Heroes was sort of originally going to be Ultimates 3. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, it's funny because I always had this idea of Ultimates as being a trilogy.
Right.
But, you know, the ideas I had for Ultimates 3 wasn't good in a shared universe.
Right.
Because Ultimates, I don't know, have you read Ultimates the whole thing?
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's kind of building up towards really a third world war, a global jihad.
Which
really
sort of happens in Ultimates too.
Yeah. So that was the beginning of a huge conflict, really, the way I was thinking. But I couldn't really do it in a shared universe because I wanted to have a global jihad and Washington destroyed and so on, and it would affect all the other books. So I just let it go. I thought I'll just go now when it's good and everybody likes it and let it roll off. But I had those ideas and I thought, I could use them somewhere. And War Heroes is essentially my Ultimate 3 in that sense, you know. But the good thing about it is it means we can swear, we can have nudity, pathetic as that sounds, you know. But it is nice writing with the gloves off, really, in that sense, you know. So we can just do anything we want, which is lovely too.
Well, I don't think we're going to get better scoop than that, Mark Millar. Thank you so much for your time.
Not at all.
This is great,
Thanks,
and go buy War Heroes. It's really good.
Thanks a lot.
I am here with legendary artist Tony Harris. That's right, the man behind Starman and Ex Machina, and now, of course, War Heroes. Tony, A, it's really cool to meet you.
Me too.
B, tell me a little bit about how the collaboration with Mark Millar and War Heroes came about.
Mark had contacted me about a graphic novel project a little over a year ago, and that never happened for whatever reason. And some time went by, and then I was developing another creator-owned project that hadn't been announced yet, and I contacted him about writing that. And he had his contract with Marvel at the time, so he couldn't do it. And again, some time went by, we got busy, and then he just called me up one day out of the blue and said, "I had this thing, I want you to read it, I think you'd be perfect for it." And I got halfway into the first page of the pitch, and I called him back, and I was like, "That's it, man, I'm on it."
For people maybe who don't know what War Heroes is about, you know, give me sort of the little pitch so you can tell people about that.
It's basically, you know, what if the entire U.S. Army were superpowered, and then we go over to the Middle East and just wipe out anybody that gets in our way.
Perfect. Well, and obviously there's sort of a crime subplot that seems to be bubbling up too.
Yeah, there's a group of soldiers that go through basic and they hatch this plot, and they're going to do something really vile. And one of them is the younger brother of Jay, the main character in the book, and he's like this Captain America sort of, you know, decorated war hero. And all Calvin, his younger brother, wants to be is his older brother. And so it's really, the subtext of the story is all about those two brothers, and you follow them through the whole story.
Obviously, you've collaborated with some of the best writers in the business, James Robinson, Brian K. Vaughan, now Mark Millar. How much creativity do you sort of get to bring to the process?
I've been fortunate. Brian is really, really open to anything that I have to suggest on the book, and a lot of the elements to the characters